Good evening, and thank you everyone for tuning in for another episode of The Conversation. I am your host for the evening, Mr. Roger A. Franco. So one of the things that I wanted to do with The Conversation is to touch upon topics that I think we are in our communities not very well educated on or have a lot of information about. And one of those topics has to do with creating generational wealth. And I think when you have a discussion about generational wealth, you have to speak about real estate and investing. So who better to join us on the conversation than these two gentlemen I have sitting next to me, two subject matter experts. As I told y'all before, I'm not just pulling people off the street here. They are actually involved heavily and know exactly what we're talking about. So sitting to my right, we have Mr. Ricardo Blenman, who is a certified real estate agent. Actually made a career change from the service industry to working in the field of real estate. He wanted to get into a career that helped him connect with people. He was inspired to get into real estate because it still gave him the chance to meet new people and make them happy by giving them what they want. He became a licensed salesperson serving apartment renters, first-time home buyers, and customers looking to relocate to New York City. He is born and raised from Brooklyn. He has a wealth of market knowledge to negotiate in this tightly held real estate market. He is keen on timing, and he is apt to know when to purchase, which way the market is likely to move in the near future, and move on upcoming developments that will impact pricing. So he's definitely a man you want to speak to in this industry. And sitting to my left, this gentleman here, Chidi Ekeji. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You tried your best. Chidi Ekeji.
Chidi Ekeji. My apologies.
No worries.
This gentleman here is a population health analyst and health educator. He's an alumni from Medgar Evers College and the first vice president of Science Association. He's a Six Sigma Green Belt and a certified professional in healthcare quality. He is passionate and outcome focused. He is a passionate and outcome focused population health analyst with 7 years of experience using clinical data and patient outreach in identifying, understanding, and meeting specific needs of high risk populations in Baltimore. So after hearing those two intros, you might wonder, well, how does what this gentleman does connect with what this gentleman does? And it's a very interesting story, and that's why I have them both here on the show this evening. So first, let's get into a little bit about real estate. So my man Ricardo, tell us a little bit about what is involved with obtaining your real estate license.
All right, well, to obtain your real estate license, definitely in New York, you have to complete a 75-hour class.
Okay.
And once you complete that 75-hour class, depending on what school you go to, they have their own test where it's like 100 questions. Mm-hmm. And of course you pass that. And then you can go on to taking the New York State test, which is also 100 questions. Okay. And definitely getting a 70% or higher to obtain your license.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know this might seem like very obvious question, but for those out there who may not know, what can you do with that real estate license?
Well, with that real estate license, you can basically do anything with anything to get the transaction, whether you can be a rental agent, a buyer's agent, you can actually become a listing agent. Now, what I mean by that is when you're a listing agent, you can actually connect with a seller and, get them in a contract where you're able to help sell their property for them for a transaction. Or you can be a buyer's agent, which is actually where you can connect with the buyer and help them through the process of buying that real estate.
Okay. So there's several
real estate property, yeah. So, rental agents, possibly the same thing. You connect them with any apartments for rent, and you can basically help them with a commission of 12 to 15% or 1 month's rent.
Okay.
Which usually, that's what most agents usually start out at.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for that. And for you, sir, you are, as I mentioned in the intro, population health analyst and health educator. Okay. So explain to folks out there who may not understand what that is and what you do.
All right. So when you go to the hospital, a lot of times people don't see what happens behind the closed doors, meaning behind the nurses, behind the doctors, behind the RTs, respiratory therapists, all the clinicians. Healthcare is a business. As any business, as you know, you got to get paid. But the thing is, what I do as a population health analyst is that for everything that goes on, from every disease caught, any kind of non-social disease caught in the hospital, any kind of negative outcome from any kind of process or any kind of procedure, any health outcome that happens, that gets logged, that gets recorded. And we use that data to kind of figure out what's going to happen, what we can do to actually fix the outcome, enhance the outcome, or omit that outcome. So, for example, if you go into the hospital and let's say you're hypertensive or so, they put you on a protocol. And that protocol, every clinician follows that protocol from A to Z. Now, whatever your outcome is, we aggregate that data and say, listen, this is how does it match against the baseline of what we usually do with a patient who has that health status. So we use that, and also health insurance companies need that. So like I said, I was telling you earlier, healthcare is the only business where I can give you a service and not get paid right away. And healthcare, unfortunately, is ruled by the health insurance companies. So they dictate what gets paid, what doesn't get paid, how much our fees are. So hospitals need population health analysts like us to make sure that the measures that are put in place, we're adhering to it, and we get paid by health insurance companies.
Okay. So, I guess the natural question based on what you both do, how do you make that tie in to the business that you have? And to real estate.
Well, first and foremost, like I said, I'm not only an agent, I'm also a local investor. So with Chidi now, he is actually one of my business partners. And we actually merged together, and we founded DRYC Holdings. Now with DRYC Holdings, it's actually, I wouldn't say that we're an investment firm. Basically like acquisitions. So we give like a lot of free information for anybody that's looking to sell their home or just even becoming an investor themselves. Like, I really believe in like giving a lot of free information.
That's important.
That's just me. I give free information. So we started out doing a lot of wholesaling, people that's looking to sell their properties, because when you're selling your property for cash, I know you're in Brooklyn. You lived in Brooklyn. You see a lot of buy homes for cash. You don't really know the situation people's in. It can be healthcare, it can be their kids, anything like that. Now with Chidi now being in healthcare, one of the number one things in the country is older people are not getting the money for the healthcare. By the time you're like 65, heart problems, everything, it all adds up. So now you don't have the liquid money to care for yourself.
Exactly.
And it's not like that the millennials are trying to be homeowners.
Really.
So they're trying to get out of that.
And I'll add one thing. One thing I think I bring, because my title with the company is Vice President of Strategic Partnerships. One thing I've done in the past is a lot of community outreach when it comes to dealing with high utilization patients. We call those patients who go to the hospital often, back and forth. They cost hospitals money, they cost health insurance companies money. So what I do for the company essentially is, like Ricardo noted, healthcare costs is one of the things that drives people bankrupt a lot of times. And my line of work, I'm very, I just want to use the word astute when it comes to talking to individuals. So I'm used to, I worked in Baltimore, I also worked in New York City here. So one thing I noticed is that when I go to people, I reach out to people, I tell them what I do. The first thing they ask is, what do you want from us? What do you want from me? I have to constantly reassure them that I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to actually give you something. And I'm like Ricardo said, we give a lot of free information. And I think that accurate information leads to accurate decisions, which leads to accurate behaviors, which leads to actually healthy lifestyles.
Exactly.
So what I do for the company is that I reach out to people. So I will go, let's say there's a home I see that looks distressed. I reach out to them. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Talk a little bit more about yourself. What's going on with you? How's your health status? I don't try to get too deep into it, but I let them know I know what's going on. I know what they're dealing with, and I can find them ways to get them the help they need, you know?
Or just what's your financial status, period. Because it's like,
you know, and
because we all been there. We all know.
You know?
Our parents been there, so.
And a lot of times, people don't know that a lot of times people who have their homes, they're barely hanging on by a thread. So it's either do I pay for my healthcare bills, do I pay my rent? Do I pay my mortgage? So trying to find people that balance, show them the government assistant agencies and programs out there that can help them. And what we do as acquisitions, or I tell them all people all the time, we're not here to gentrify you guys. We want you to stay where you're at. What we want to do is upgrade your standard of living. Let's get that property. We'll take it over. We'll fix it. You can rent from us. Or we can't afford it. Listen, we know a plethora of government agencies that will help you afford that property. You may not know. A lot of information is out there. People are just not privy to that. And that's the thing. A lot of undereducated, underserved populations don't know what kind of benefits they have. And that's what I'm there for, to educate them in that sense. And Ricardo goes in and he seals the deal.
That's I think a great service that is very much needed within our communities, because you're also providing services. It's not just like you're trying to do a business deal and get money out of them.
Absolutely not.
You know what I mean? So when we talk about financial status, from your experience, when is a good time for someone to be a homeowner? Like, as far as income is concerned, you know, I know I've heard about a formula that if you make certain amount, it should be, you know, put towards the house and all this type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, one thing I can point out is, you know, being an agent, being on the agent side of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely harder to actually rent an apartment in New York City than to be a homeowner.
Really?
And that's plain to say, yeah.
Wow.
Because, you know, I don't know if you know about the laws. The laws has changed with the for the rent.
Okay.
Yeah. So now the landlords are practically panicking, where it's like, okay, you know, back in the day when we used to have like a family of four live in an apartment building for 13 years, that's something that they don't want anymore. I'm telling you guys on camera right now, that's something they don't want anymore. Actually, when it's like, they want people who's like, okay, now 5 single individuals, and we're gonna just rent out the rooms.
Really?
That's the formula that's going on.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
To the fact where it's like, I don't rent apartments. I don't. That's one of the business that it's a headache, and I don't want to be that downer when it comes to the families, definitely. So, you know, we're renting an apartment now. It's like, okay, they want a 650 credit score. They want you making 40 to 80 times the rent.
Absolutely. Wow. How much money do they want up front?
And I mean, the typical New Yorker is not making 40 to 80 times the rent of like a 2-bedroom apartment which is $2,000 nowadays.
Wait, hold on. You said, am I hearing you correctly? 40 to 80 times.
40 to 80 times the rent. Yes.
Wow.
And this
that's something I deal with on a daily basis, and I have to explain that constantly to people.
Yeah. And it's piggybacks on what Ricardo was saying. He said it's easier to buy a home here in New York City versus renting, because, like you said, when you're trying to go get an apartment, what are the first things you need? A good credit score, first month's, last month's security deposit, or broker's fee.
Right.
So let's say, give a scenario.
No, first month's, sorry. You know, like I said, the laws changed. So now it's like first month's and security deposit now. Broker's fee. If
you're going through a broker.
Yeah. No, so yeah,
so
definitely.
if you're looking for, if your price range is $2,000, be prepared to come out $6,000. And what Ricardo said, how it's easy to rent, to buy, is because you guys know first home owner loans. If you know the procedure that goes into that, you can actually get a home for little to nothing. They put you through a gamut of like credit rehab programs and whatnot. And so to the point where you put like less than 5% down, which if you're buying a $300,000 home and you go through their program, paying $6,000 up front just to pay $2,000 a month later versus putting $5,000 down and getting a home, like, it makes more sense to buy. Only thing is,
and think about it, when you're renting, you're not getting any appreciation.
there's nothing there.
When you're renting.
There's nothing there.
Your money's gone.
You know, and I don't want people to think that it's bad to rent, because it all depends on your socioeconomic status and your standings. So to answer your question about when is it a good time to actually to buy a home, you got to know yourself. Number one, are you disciplined? Can you save your money? Can you put money away? Because if you buy a home, $10,000 for the roof if it breaks down, $5,000 for a boiler if it busts. And we live in New York City. One of the coldest
And
places
actually, it's like this. I say when it's a good time to rent. If you're a single person with no kids, get you a roommate.
Right.
It's gonna save you money.
It's a tough truth.
Why be a single person paying $1,500 a month when you can actually get a roommate, maybe two roommates, and cut that down to like maybe $1,800 a month, and put that extra money somewhere.
Right.
Whether it can be like your side business or anything like that, going to school, anything. You know, you're gonna own a home. Definitely, you're gonna be married. You're gonna have kids. That's the way to go.
Right.
Because like I said, they don't want the landlords now, they're under pressure now. So the landlords don't want people to stay in there for like 12, 13 years anymore. That day's done.
Right.
You know, though, I'll give you an example. If I cut in, my mother owns 3 properties here in Brooklyn. One in Clinton Hill, one in East Flatbush, and one in Mill Basin. She's part of Generation X. Those, I won't say they're stubborn, but they have their set ideals that got them through thick and thin and tried and true.
Wait,
values.
Generation X or baby boomers?
No, baby boomers are from
I thought we were
1920,
Generation X.
1920 something to 1944. Then 1960 something people.
You got the stats.
Yeah, so people who were born before 1965 are Gen X. We are the millennials.
Okay.
And then we have the other generation, the new
Baby
one.
boomers,
Yeah.
baby boomers.
But the thing is that I could get back to what I was talking about the so people don't know is that my mom owns property here in Brooklyn, and what she feels is an ideal candidate is somebody who can at least afford to live there for 2 or 3 years and get them out. Because like Ricardo said, the longer you stay, the longer the chances your property may deteriorate. If they have kids are gonna put holes in the walls, write stuff, break stuff. You know,
all that statistics, all of that is statistics that the landlords look at now.
Really?
Yeah. It's more long term. That's why I say, you know, getting into the real estate business, you actually see that it's more of a long term business. When I first got into real estate, when we both first got into real estate, we're thinking, oh, you know, we're gonna come in, we're gonna be millionaires. No, this is a long term game.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I know a lot of people personally, even myself, got involved years ago thinking, you get a house, you flip it, you got $500,000 in your pocket in 2 months.
No.
And it's not like that. No. So talk a little bit about, because one of the questions I was going to ask is, how do you make money off of this? So you say think long term. What are some of the things that come into play as far as money is concerned on your end to earn money?
To earn money. All right. Well, definitely, you know, I don't really I mean, of course I think about money, but that's not just my first focus.
Right.
You know, definitely all right, so the type of agent I am, I'm more like, say, a buyer's agent. So I give a lot of free consultation on buying. So I would literally get a client and I would talk to you for like the first 20 minutes. And I would actually ask you questions. Do you have a lawyer? Most people don't know. You have to have an attorney in order to do a real estate transaction.
Okay.
You know, and it protects everybody.
And bona fides the deal.
Yeah. Bona fides the deal, definitely.
The deal.
So
no, I can actually to speak on that, and I want to get into this also, because I was looking into getting real estate in Florida. Yeah. So I'm there and I didn't have an attorney.
Okay.
So I'm there with the broker and whatnot. And this was around the time when there was a lot of scams going on down there as far as real estate.
Yes.
He
Florida now
nixed the deal because he didn't trust me. He didn't know me. I had no lawyer. So it didn't seem like on the up and up.
Okay, yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, definitely. So when I speak to a client, I look at all of my clients as business partners. And the reason I say I look at them as business partners is that real estate agents in New York have a reputation for being sleazy.
Right.
I'm putting it out there.
Yeah,
they have a reputation of being
That's very
sleazy.
true.
So when I'm on the phone with you for the first 20 minutes, I'm letting you know all the gems that I know, definitely, and how to protect yourself, because I want to gain that trust.
Right.
And I feel as being a businessman, it's like this. To be a good businessman, you're not the only person that's going to be winning.
You can't be.
I feel like both sides of the table have to win for order for me to be a good businessman. So I'm gonna let you know regarding the credit score, what loans benefit you the most, and what home benefits you the most. You know, I'm gonna ask you questions. Do you see yourself being in that home for the next 15 to 30 years?
Absolutely.
Okay, if not, okay, so let's get you this home. Do you want to be here for the next 5 years and then appreciate on that?
Assessing them. You got to assess them.
Yeah, you have to
and also
assess.
to piggyback on your initial question on long-term use, long-term property, like I said, it all depends on what your vision is. What do you want for yourself? If you can be realistic of what you want, what you can do, you start on the right path so far. So kudos for you for that. If you know yourself, first of all, know what you want to do, know what you're capable of, you and your partner's capable of. So what we look at for long-term uses, like I love buying and holding. I'm big on that. I'm always trying to sway my partners because we have two other partners who work with us as well, but they're like silent partners. But I'm big on buying and holding because of the fact I know how things are going. I lived in Brooklyn all my life. East Flatbush was not the place it was 7-10 years ago.
Definitely
Keeping that in mind and knowing that one constant thing in this world is change. If you know that and you know that constant thing in this world is change, your next bet now to get ahead of the game is a change for the good or for the bad. So if I'm looking long-term use, I'm going to go, listen, Flatbush is not the same place it was 10 years ago. All right, so let me hold something. Let me buy something and hold something. Oh, Flatbush is not, I can't afford to be in Flatbush no more. Let's go see where else it's up and coming. So when Amazon was planning to come to Long Island City, people were rushing to buy property in Long Island City. Amazon is not coming to Long Island City anymore. But still, people still
Which
own
I'm very
property.
upset because I could have made a lot of money.
I'm actually against that because if I used to work in city building for the Department of Health, and I know how Court Street, Court Street Station, Court Square was not there 7-10 years ago, and they just built that, and we taxpayers are still paying for that infrastructure, that train station there. But I digress. So for long-term planning, you got to get ahead of the curve. So it means like not being the person chasing the wave, initiate the wave. So I tell my partners all the time, Baltimore is a beautiful place. Newburgh is a beautiful place. People don't know that Amazon is moving to Crystal City in Virginia. And Baltimore, DC, Virginia are basically linked by one pipeline, 295, I'm not mistaken. So what I'm telling people to do, I tell my partners to do as well, let's get ahead of the curve. East Baltimore is a rundown area. When you drive into Baltimore, the first thing you see is a grimy looking Baltimore. But people don't know those homes are going for $8,000, $6,000, $7,000, $9,000, $10,000.
Wow.
Cash. Okay. If you add up your cell phone bill or your rent for like 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 months, you can buy a property in Baltimore, cash for $16,000 if you really wanted to. The thing is, you could if you wanted to. If you really wanted to. But the thing is now, you can rent it. You can have people on Section 8, which I'm all for Section 8. I'm not against it. It's government money coming to you. Wait that out. Wait till Amazon gets into Crystal City. Wait till that growth comes past DC into Baltimore, and wait on it. You can just wait on it. That's long-term growth. That's long-term investing. You can get them for very cheap and see how quickly that turns from an $18,000 home to a $200,000 home. But you got to be disciplined. Can you do it? Yeah. Right. People like Ricardo, he likes the flip game because of the fact you're not set to one thing. If the market crashes, you're not holding a piece of a rock in your pocket that you can't sell anymore.
Because at the end of the day, you do need capital.
You do need capital.
So my formula is, okay, you see 2 properties, you get flip, buy and hold. That's what you do. A lot of people, they're into the one thing. That's why I love real estate. There's so many ways to make money in real estate.
There is.
You have wholesaling. You can be an agent. I am. You can buy and hold. You can get into acquisitions. So many different ways.
Buy and holding is definitely the only way for long-term. Definitely long-term.
You can partner up with another LLC and you can join up with your capital and buy a building.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my partners, he has a perfect formula for the getting the 50 unit to 100 unit buildings, and great formula. I wish he was here to speak about it.
Yeah,
we definitely could have him come back because you guys are inspiring. Like, I want to go buy some property right now after we get off the show.
The funds. My savings, take it. Let me give me a property.
So that's an interesting point when you talk about Baltimore. So if somebody wanted to do that, let's say I had the capital up.
Okay.
I had my 16 to 20,000.
Okay.
What do you do? What's the first thing that you do?
Okay, so what I would do if it was me, if it were me, I would go to one of these rundown streets like Biddle Street or Front Street or something in Baltimore. Buy a row home. It's a brownstone. They're brownstones. They're row homes. They're legit bricks. And buy one. Buy it, renovate it. The thing is that the labor force in Baltimore is very cheap. You can get people to get stuff done for you very quickly and very cheap without sacrificing quality. You know, put some money into getting it renovated, but then bring the people who live in that neighborhood into that property. Because I'll tell you one thing. If you think you're going to come there, build that house up and fix it or renovate it and have people of other demographics come in there, the population of that neighborhood will scare them out. So that money won't stay there too long. So the thing what I would suggest is actually fixing it, renting it up, talking to people in that neighborhood. Listen, I'm trying to take this block over. I'm trying to buy this block. I need your help. How? All right, so I don't want to displace you guys. This is your home. But what I want to do is teach you about the government benefits you can get to pay for this home, how to sign up for them, how to save your money. And this could be yours. We can rent to own this if you want to. So what I'm
Which
doing,
a lot of people don't know, because there are grants out there. If you have the home, there are grants out there to fix your home up.
Absolutely.
You don't have to
come out of
pocket.
Yeah,
or
they're
just sell your home cash for $5,000 in this lease.
Yeah, there are abatements. There are abatements.
Trust me, I'm very against gentrification in a certain sense, where it's like, okay, I'm just throwing people out of the neighborhood. I'm very against it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to teach people a certain way. It's like, okay, no, there's a certain way to do these things. You just have to work with us.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I say, if I were you and you go into Baltimore, put your cash together, get familiar with the people who work in that area, who live in that area. And the thing is, a lot of people don't know that DMV area has a lot of people of color who are winning, who are willing to help you and work with you. I lived there for 4 years.
A lot of black-owned businesses.
Yes, I've met company owners, I've met restaurant owners, club owners, people, contractors there. And I tell you right now, go to Baltimore, familiarize yourself there first before you buy anything. Go there, feel the culture, pinpoint a location you want to buy. When you pinpoint the location, buy it. Talk to people around there. Listen, I'm building something here. It's for us. It's for you. You can buy this. I'm building it. It's mine, but this property's staying here. So I'm not bringing other folks in here. This is yours. I'm going to teach you how to get it. Once you do that, people know Section 8 for places like that in Baltimore, you can get up to like $1,300 per unit. Wow. Per unit. So let's say you bought a home for $17,000, $18,000 after tax and closing costs. Let's say 20 G's. Round number, 20 G's. You put 20 G's into that home. Let's say you bought it cash, 20 G's. Or you got a loan. You got a personal loan, 20 G's cash. You fix that home for whatever amount it may be. Let's say you put $7,000, $8,000, probably $10,000. You never know. But let's get a rough number. Let's put $15,000 in there. So total is $35,000 you put in so far. The thing is that as a long-term, I will hold on to that. Have $1,300 coming every month. Your mortgage, if there is one, which you're not paying for a mortgage, you're probably going to buy cash. If you're not buying cash, you could probably buy it through a mortgage. You're probably going to be paying like $300 a month for your mortgage. $300 a month. If you do the math, if you put in 10, 20% down, if you want, you could put 50, 40% down of 20 G's. Your mortgage now is under $500. You're getting $1,300 from your tenants.
And mind you, he's not telling you about the FHA, the FHA loan, which is right now 3.5% down.
Yeah. The only thing with that is sometimes some properties don't qualify for that.
Definitely.
So I'm just gonna
and you have to pay a higher insurance rate.
Absolutely, you have to. So we're gonna just assume that you're not getting an FHA loan. Maybe
there are ways to go about it.
Yeah, but there are ways to go about it. But the whole thing is that if you prefer getting $700 in your pocket every single month, just like that, do it. That's the long-term use. But if you want to do something else, buy a home for like $120,000. Buy it, fix it for about 40, 50 if you want to, or 30, 40, and then sell it for $300,000. There's places in Baltimore that are booming right now. But if it was me and knowing my assets right now, I'll buy a 20 G's home right now, fix it up, have people on Section 8, fill it, get $700 in my pocket every single month. And I'll be okay with that, minus the little expenses that may happen there, whatnot. But that's slow money is better than no money.
I hope y'all had your pens and notepads out and just paying attention to the jewels that are being dropped right now.
Rough jewels.
Again, subject matter experts. These are just not two guys I pulled off the street.
Rough jewels. Gotta call us and then we give you all the jewels.
Yeah, I hear that. So, I mentioned earlier about Florida and the whole real estate game for the past 10 years was topsy-turvy, up and down, bailouts and all type of stuff, and predatory lending. So what's the best advice you could give to folks to avoid that type of situation? Well, first question, let me take a couple steps back. What's the landscape of the industry like right now? Is that still very prevalent, or has it sort of settled down?
What do you mean, like on the business sense, or just
the lending part? You mean?
The lending part.
See, I'll fill in this one because I read an article recently where they're trying to stop people from fixing and flipping by putting certain impediments in your way to, like, say you can't flip this, you can't sell it within a certain time period or something like that. But in regards to predatory lending, to be honest with you, I don't think it's predatory unless you fall into it. Who's more greedier? The person who's selling it to you, or the person who thinks they can get it for that much? Like, you really think you can afford that? You really trying to come up, So, the thing is, like I said, knowing yourself, man. People can sell anything to you. You're gonna put your money out and buy it, So if you know for a fact that you can't afford this property, but the bank is giving you XYZ amount of money for XYZ amount of down payment, but look at your interest rate. 10 years, you won't make a dent in the principal balance. So I think that the thing is, I was telling people all the time, is that reading through the contract, educating yourself. Nothing is predatory unless you are prey. Don't think like prey.
That's a good,
like definitely.
That.
And like I said, when I speak to my clients, I'm always asking them a bunch of questions, and I'm always asking them, like, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
You gotta gauge that.
Actually, really, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Right.
So it's like to be off of him, don't think of yourself as prey. So if you can't afford this, why have it? Because I'm the type of person is, when I'm looking at my clients is, sorry, too much mimosas. All right, so I think of more like long term. And if you're not happy with what I gave to you, that affects me in a way, in a fixed way. Because what I do, a lot of my business, I reach out to a lot of the clients I handled before. And if they're not happy with their current situation, why would they work with me again?
Right. Of course.
So definitely ask this bunch of
questions.
I don't care what it is. Ask your realtor everything.
Ask the banks.
Ask them
People don't know banks have credit scores,
and that's what
too.
I say. Harass me on the phone. First thing I told my clients, harass me on the phone. I give you my personal number. Text me all times of the night, and I will answer you. If I don't know the answer to the question, definitely I'll get the answer to the question. Because like I said, I'm very transparent. And that's one thing about our business is where
very transparent.
Our clients is really respect. We are very transparent on what's going on. Some people think, oh, we're just out there to make money off of them. Like, no.
It's a side product. It's a byproduct of the transaction. It's a byproduct, And that's why, to piggyback on what you were saying, go back to your question, predatory lending, I think it's not the bank's fault. It's social media, it's commercials, TV. Every single show you see, the family has a big white picket fence. When you look at prescription commercials, people are in home making tea, making cake, taking their antipsychotic medication.
Maybe that's not the right situation for you.
Yes,
maybe you don't want a white picket fence. Maybe you want a co-op. Maybe you want a condo.
Maybe you don't want that.
Maybe you want to just have that condo for 2 years and then sublet it.
So
tell me your situation, and I will give you the right situation.
And that's why those loans take advantage of your human side, like the human we're greedy. By human nature, we are greedy, but it's not a bad thing. If you're going through a drought or famine, what are you going to do? You're going to take more than you can eat right now. You're going to hold on to that. You know, so banks, they're a business mechanism, they're business infrastructure to make money off of you. Whether you give them your money is up to you. So predatory loans, I think they're out there. There are a lot, like they have these prepaid cards and these prepaid credit cards and whatnot. Yeah, they are, because they're taking advantage of the fact that you're down and you're out and you go for the fast thing you can get. So just be cognizant of what you want and research. Research is, I think, is the best counteract to that. Research.
Very important. Very, very important. Understand you're building a relationship. So I think it's important, what Ricardo said, to ask as many questions as possible.
Absolutely.
Be an educated consumer.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's just a little advice from the conversation. So I mentioned earlier about creating generational wealth. And, you know, we started to talk a little bit about investing and whatnot. And you also mentioned, which I was not aware of, if an elderly person needs to live in a long-term care facility, they have to liquidate
everything.
And I'm sure, I didn't know that. I'm sure a lot of people out there don't know that. And, you know, the concept of you don't want to be old, broke, and sick, I think falls into this conversation. Absolutely. So we also spoke about creating a will, and you help folks with that.
Yes, actually, a lot of people don't know there's a way where you can design your deeds. Say, if I want to leave something for my kids, but they're not of age, I can leave something for their mother. And God forbid, any circumstance where my kid dies or anything like that, you know, automatically she no longer has any interest in that property anymore.
Yeah.
There's ways to design that. Definitely.
And talking to a financial planner or something like. And I also implored Ricardo, my business partner. I know this is not what he wants to do, but I always tell him, go for your Series 6, Series 67, Series 63. These are all FINRA licenses that allow you to manage people's wealth management. And talk to people like this because of the fact, like, yes, they make money off of you, but they make money off of you. So you have to make money for them to make money off of you. Right. You know? And one thing I noticed is that, like I said before, the Generation X, the generation after baby boomers, I think the ones that are born before 1946 or 47, a lot of them are hard workers. They're hard workers. They're tried and true. They lived in the era in the 80s and 90s where it was tough. Like, you had to stick to yourself, stick to your guts, stick to what you knew. Now they're holding on to property, and they have their kids who they consider rash, you know, uncertain. That's us, the millennials. We are the wizards of our human generation because we grew up in an era where we had no cell phones and we had cell phones. We went through that transition. So they don't trust us enough, I say that. So the thing is, talking to people, your older folks, talking to your aunt, to your mom, your dad, people who own property, talk to them. What are their plans? A lot of times what their plans are is to work, and die a lot of times. And not, I don't mean it in a bad way, but they work their tail off to retire for sticks and bones and still have to do something to pay for that home. How are they doing that? And hoping their kids then come take over. No, it doesn't work like that. Get your kids involved right away. Unfortunately, Generation Xers, a lot of them are very stubborn. So it takes us, the younger generation, to go talk to them. What are your plans for this home or your homes? What do you plan on doing? When do you want to retire? What do you want to do when you retire? God forbid, I know you don't want to talk about this, death. What's going to happen when you die, mom, dad, auntie? Talk about that. Be very transparent. Once you do that, you can see how quickly you can pass off, your parents can pass off things to you without it being a financial burden to you. If your parents have a $500,000 mortgage they still have, and they want to give it to you, I don't look at it as me having a house. I look at it as me having a $500,000 loan, you know? So it's like, it depends. What if I don't want to pay $3,000 a month for a home, which probably is run down because they didn't want to fix it. They still have their the wooden panel on the walls, the carpet, this is that, this is not fixed. That is literally a hole in your pocket. that they just passed off to you. So talking to your parents, talking to your elders, getting to know what their financial status is, what their health status is. And that's why I say it ties back to health, because of the fact that me talking to a lot of individuals, all they really have is their property. They don't have their health. So when it comes to saying, what do I put first, what I'm going to pay for, that Social Security check he's getting here, she's getting, they're going to put it towards their bills before they put it to their mortgage. What happens to the home? Well, the kids want to do it with a $500,000 on property mortgage, a loan, not including property tax. That's not a home for them, especially if they're not ready, especially if they're still young. So what do? So having wills in place, trust involved, and trust in place, talking to people who know what they're talking about. And number one, I always retort back to this, research. We live in an era where Google's prevalent. Research, and don't research one site.
And that's where like most of my business comes from.
Most of my business comes
from Google. Like
Really?
I market myself in a way where Google search engine. I work for Weichert Properties, so even if you're on a blog, when you go to the bottom and show to the bottom, you're gonna see Weichert Properties. Right. So I make sure I place myself in that status where it's like, okay, even if you're looking on Realtor.com, Zillow, anything like that, a question, and you tap into it, say call an agent, I'm gonna get that call.
Really?
Yeah,
Directly,
definitely.
yeah.
And that's where the business changed, and that's why a lot of people love real estate. It's even why a lot of millionaires still love real estate because it's kind of old school still, but it's still evolving.
Yeah,
millennials really took advantage of it.
Right.
I'm gonna
with the
piggyback
technology.
off of that, and there's a certain population demographic that African Americans have been battling with on the Strip, which is Eastern Parkway. I'm pretty sure you know what that population is. demographic is. The reason why they're so efficient is because they keep everything within their family. Everything stays in the family.
Don't get him started.
Nothing leaks out. And the thing is that, and I tell people all the time, get a trade, man. Get something that you can make money off, because of the fact, I know for a fact that if my friend's a lawyer, my friend's a banker who's on platform, not a teller, somebody on platform, a bank manager, or asset manager, whatever, talk to that person. Okay, I have a property here. I want to give it to my kid. I don't want to pay. I don't want my kid to pay taxes for it. How can I do that? There are ways to pass off your property to your kid without them paying taxes. You can gift it. They may pay a little portion, but it's nothing close to paying taxes of the whole entire property. Right. Also, I say this also, especially when it comes to generational wealth. That demographic, what they do a lot is that, I told you this earlier, whenever they're selling property, you don't see it on the for sale sign. What they do is that they will put their kids on the deed, which a lot of parents don't do. With people of color, they don't do that. They didn't do that. They don't do that, and that's one thing we lack in. Sometimes we don't give it to our kids. We give it to our kids, but we don't give it to our kids. We don't set it up for them. We just give it to them. Here, that's yours. Right. Deal with it. I gave that to you. That's your gift.
When you first buy the house, you don't.
Yeah. It's mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's mom and dad. It's not mom, dad, da. It's none of that. Right. They do that. And one thing I noticed as well, that demographic is more in particular, is that when they get married, they don't marry in churches like we do. They don't have marriage licenses. So certain things that you and your partner may be liable for, one of them is not liable for it. Also, I also want to revert back to even to government benefits as well. Certain loans you can get. The head of the family, so the mom and the dad of that demographic, may be the business owner, and on paper, legally, the wife is not married to him. They're married in their own little bubble, but legally, to the government, they're not married. So what that means, the mother and their kids can collect as much government property and government assistance as possible for cheap, for little to nothing, while the husband is there bringing money, paying for the property. Whenever they do decide to sell the property to somebody else, they don't sell it. They just give it to their kid. They send it over to their kid. The kid could be 17 years old, 18 years old, with a $500,000 home. Wow. And one thing I have to get to them, despite I don't like what they do as in regards to their environment that which I live in, I give you one thing I love that they do. They actually they communicate, man. They communicate. And one thing I love they do is that when they talk to each other, they trust each other. One thing that I see as our demographic is that we're so apprehensive of each other,
Yeah.
so apprehensive, and I think it's one of our downfalls. You know,
That's an interesting point, because I was actually talking to someone recently who he also purchases houses for the purpose of investments, and he said whenever he goes to the auctions or what have you, he's always the only one black person. But there's a group of Hasidic, there's a group of Asian, there's groups, and he said he overheard a group talking about a particular house that was up on the auction block. And one guy was like, nah, I don't like it. And the other one was like, well, let's get it for me. And they said, all right, so we'll pool our money and get it for him.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
that's beautiful.
do you, I think I know the answer, but do you see that a lot as far as, you know, trying to purchase investments, and where we may be standalone one person, they are together as groups?
Oh, no, definitely. Even when I'm going to like an open house, first people I see is the holistic, those
Hasidic,
guys. Yeah,
right,
definitely. And it's sad to see, man. It's really sad to see, because I'm trying to get all of us in a situation where it's like, listen, we really have to band together.
Right.
You know, not even just bad people, just poor
Yeah,
people in general.
And when we mean poor, not only poor like wealth-wise, but poor
Working class.
knowledge-wise.
Yeah,
man.
knowledge-wise.
One thing they do, I'll be honest with you, they set their kids up with credit cards young. The kids may not even hold a credit card in their hand, but their parents may set up them one for one, buy little things here and there, $100, $2, $5, paid every single month. So that 18-year-old has the buying power of a 50-year-old banker.
Yeah.
By the time he's 18, 21 year old. So, like I said before, one thing we don't do as a people is that when we do take out loans on each other, it's for cell phone bills, cable, something, you know?
Which I'm telling everyone right now, sorry to cut you off, look out. If you're in the 90s, like I'm talking about 94th and Rutland, Winthrop, please hold on to your properties.
Yeah, hold on,
because that's what they're looking at next.
They're going to come after those brownstones, yeah.
They're coming after it, and they're going to come after it hard, because they're already in Brownsville,
Yeah.
and they're coming after it hard. So I'm speaking to every homeowner in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm telling them,
that's
listen,
real.
hold on to your property. If you're looking for ways to fix it up and rent it out for even more, then fine, come to me. And definitely, you know, me and Chidi will come to the house and then we'll speak with you.
Yeah. Like I said,
But
education is number one.
education, yeah.
Education, that's one thing that I think that we don't have. It's the transfer of education and pertinent education, pertinent information.
Right.
You know, and one thing I know that they do is that they set the kids up from young. So when it's time for them to give the property up, because I don't know if you guys know, that demographic has one of the worst health statuses because of their religion and how they choose to practice their marriages.
Right.
So it gives them, they have a higher rate of congenital diseases, which means that they run up healthcare. That means they pay out of pocket for their healthcare more than any other population, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of their money goes into paying for their health. So they don't hold on. They don't. Some of them live long, some of them do. But the thing is, when they get too sick, they give it to their kids. We don't do that. You know, we don't do that. So I think the one way to combat that is to educate yourself. Talk to your kids. Talk to your parents. Listen, what can I do now? Or if you're having to start a new family, open a credit card for your kid. You know, I was in high school, man. I went to W.E. Du Bois High School on Eastern Parkway, and I had a math teacher there. I forgot his name, but I never forget him, man, because he was an accountant. And what he used to do, he told me, "Listen, man, I was a bad man." I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean, teach?" He told me he used to do payroll for a company. And so what people don't do is that people don't look at the cents at the end of their paycheck. All they think about is the dollar amount. So what he used to do, he had like 3,000-4,000 clients he used to do payroll for. Well, clients, individuals he did payroll for. And he said he used to take about 10, 15, 20 cents off of each check, each pay period. He did it for about like 7-10 years. He said he made a ish load of money.
Yeah.
So he said, listen, if I'm doing that, and I'm doing it on a minor scale, imagine what other people are doing. Just let someone be a teacher. I'm going to teach these kids something. So he taught me how to read my paycheck, do my taxes and whatnot. So this is critical information I think we don't share, and I think that's our downfall. We're just as smart, we're just as privileged. Believe it or not, we are, because we come from a family background. They're family oriented, so are we. You know, so information I think is scarcity, and I think we have to uplift that.
Just share the information.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here on The Conversation. This is a platform for information sharing. So last question, I guess, to ask, because I was having a conversation with someone about this as well. and we were talking about gentrification, and he said, I don't always see gentrification as a bad thing. What's your, I guess do you have opposing views on that? Like, what's your...
Rico, I'll take this one real quick.
I'll take it.
You got it?
I have a different stance on it.
Yeah, we have different opposing views on
different,
which makes we work so well. We work so well that way.
Yeah. When it comes to gentrification, I have mixed feelings about it because it actually opens me up to different ways of life, different restaurants, and I mean, come on. Did you know anything about brunch 5 years ago? Did you even go on a brunch date 5 years ago?
I wasn't a brunching man.
That's true. That's
what I love about it.
The mimosas,
and all
the
that. So, definitely when it comes to that, it's a good thing because it uplifts the neighborhood.
It exposes people to different
things. Exposes people to different things, and especially when people of our demographic can keep up with it.
Right.
Like, I mean, I tell people straight, I'm not leaving Brooklyn. You can't get me out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
If it's $1 million, I'm gonna make sure I make a $2 million to stay in Brooklyn. But definitely. But when it comes to gentrification, the purpose of me actually shipping people out that's been here for 20 years, then that's what I'm really against. That's what I'm really against.
I think I'm the opposite. We have this big debate in healthcare and also just community development at the most at large is it the people or is it the community resources that make a neighborhood bad? And that's a huge question people have been thinking about and discussing for a very long time, but I have my own answer for it.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I think it's the community resources that make a neighborhood good or bad. So if I was, in the hood, usually there's no well, use Baltimore as a reference. In Baltimore, East Baltimore, there's no supermarkets. There's no supermarkets, no malls there. But what you can see, liquor store, Chinese food store, corner store. None of those locations have anywhere for people to have good food. It's not a safe area. So one thing I like about gentrification is that it changes the landscape of the neighborhood. Only thing is, it brings in other people who are not from there. So I was hoping that why don't you change the neighborhood for the better, but keep the residents who's been there for that long time. Keep them there. Why kick them out?
Yeah.
But at the same time, gentrification does change the landscape of things. And I'm all for change. It's one thing that doesn't change at all is change. I just hope people can stay there and not kick them out.
Yeah.
Why can't I have a good a produce store where I can get healthy foods? Why does it have to be there when I'm not there?
Exactly.
That's the huge question.
When's when we were growing up, when's the last time you seen the Boys and Girls Club? I remember, we're 90s babies, we're 80s babies actually. So when's the last time you actually seen the Boys and Girls? You need to build more recreational centers, because you're getting out of school 2:15. What is it to do after that?
How do you feel about gentrification?
I can see both sides of it. I think the problem I have with it is, as you said, when they're trying to ship the people out, they make it so unaffordable for the people who are from there to live there. I think that's a problem. But I also agree with you. Is it the people or is it the community resources? And I think, last week on the show, we had the senior director of a Cornerstone community-based program in Red Hook. And he was talking about the different services when kids get out of school, where essentially kids could be in the program from 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, keeping them off the street.
Safe haven.
You know what I mean? So if we have more of that, I think that's going to have a positive impact on the neighborhood. Absolutely. And, it's not going to have that bad element.
Absolutely.
So it's two sides to the coin.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But I think for me personally, what's more powerful is, people having to move out because they can't.
Because I love your Bed-Stuy. That's my favorite place. I love the way Bed-Stuy is right now. Because you have the white people, you have the black people that's been there for years.
I could not walk down Bed-Stuy when I was younger.
They'll go to the same bar and drink together, and it's it's nothing.
I didn't go past Eastern Parkway.
It's part of life, and I'm just loving it. He takes me to this place on Flatbush and Beekman called Herbs.
Beautiful. Shout out to Herbs, man. Shout out to Dee, Lucy.
The only thing that I really also have a problem with is once they get here, of the other demographic, and they act like they've been there for 100 years, and when they see us, what are you doing in our neighborhood now? You couldn't walk over here 10 years ago, but I'm not even gonna go there. But I definitely want to thank you two gentlemen for coming and
Absolutely.
discussing
Thanks for
this
having us.
very important topic here. I think we'll do some more because I definitely want to get into the health,
Absolutely.
population health aspect, and we can all tie that together. But thank you both again for coming here and giving some information and knowledge about investing in real estates and everything that people need to take into account and think of. And matter of fact, if people wanted to reach out to you guys to get some advice.
Yeah, you can reach me on Instagram, Big Deal Realtor on Instagram, and also you can text or call the number anytime, 929-277-7172. Text it, any free consultation you need, anything about real estate, text me and I'm open. Like I said, I'll speak to 50 people a day. Just text me anything that you want to know. I'm here for you.
Appreciate that.
And myself, I'm Super C, Super SUPA_CEE on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn as well. For any kind of professional connections, Chidi Ekeji, my full name, probably is going to be in the link here. Also, you can reach me by my cell phone number. I'm very accessible. I love to talk. I love to educate. I love to hear people and what they're going through. My cell phone number is 212-470-9056. I fought very hard for that 212 number. I'm very transparent.
And you see how real it is. They actually gave you their real numbers.
Personal.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that, So once again, thank you everyone for tuning in for this episode of The Conversation. Thanks to these two gentlemen for coming and discussing with us the very important topic of generational wealth. Tune in every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, only on madeforkings.com. The Conversation. Thank you.